It's UPBOptionMillionaires.com, Tuesday, May 24, 2016, about a half hour before the opening bell, the market minutes here, talking about where the market's headed here in the short to medium term. Well, if you're looking to market action yesterday, really headed nowhere. Look at the price action throughout the trading session Friday, and then heading into yesterday's session. Look at that range right there. Just pretty miraculous to see such a tight, confined range. Really one of the strangest, most boring trading sessions we've had in quite a long time. And overnight, not so boring because we get this spike out of nowhere. Breaking news, stock futures rallying for absolutely no reason. So we're up 0.6%. Why? Just because. Maybe it's front-running the massive corporate bond buying frenzy that the ECB is going to start this coming month, June. Or maybe it's somebody just woke up in the middle of the night and said, I need to own stocks here. So if you look at S&P 500 futures, nice move to the upside. Hasn't really changed the bearish or the bullish outlook for me. Over 2100 on the S&P 500 futures. Time to load up the truck. Break down here the neckline just under 2040 on S&P 500 futures. That's time to get bearish. Anything in between is just going to be a quick move to the upside or downside of consolidation. We saw it again back in August. We broke that 2100 level briefly, but then came and crashed below it. Came back up to 2100. Started the year with a nasty move to the downside when we could not break and hold 2100. And then ultimately that move came to rest here earlier this year in April at 2100 and S&P 500 futures. So that's the line in the sand to watch. For upside, we got to break that. For downside, we are pretty close to it. So absent this 6-10% move to the upside, if we do start to roll over and break that support line and hold it, that's something we couldn't do last week. That is going to be very bearish for the market. Yeah, crude oil matters because crude oil, when it's lower, the market heads higher or flat. But when it starts to move to the upside, as it did this morning, S&P 500 futures rally like no tomorrow. And you can see crude oil actually just soaring right here. We're up over 1% on crude oil futures. The U.S. dollar index, it's a little higher, up almost 0.3%, just off its morning highs. But if you look longer term, especially with interest rate expectations starting to rise, the U.S. dollar index get back up into triple digits. New multi-year high going back to 2002. Possibility here, and that's not going to bode well for earnings. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get up to it if interest rates do indeed rise. But look at Apple. Apple off its lows. Support, I talked about the support line here, and you can see a nice hammer candle here on the monthly, setting up for a possible move and test of 100 for Apple. Does not change the long-term bearish trend, but once we do bounce here, we're probably going to head back to 90 and break it, but that's something to look out longer term for. Stock like Netflix looks good off support as well. Also, Wynn Resorts, and Netflix is up over 95 here pre-market. Wynn Resorts, I was talking about this in the chat room yesterday, was under 90. Nice rally yesterday. You can see nice flag here. 3 months of consolidation after reclaiming that 100 briefly. Looks poised to not only reclaim that 100, but get up to about 120, 130 here in the short to medium term, which means Las Vegas Sands also could see a similar move. You can see it's up against resistance here. Watch for a break of 47.26 to get up into the 50s. A couple other stocks to watch. Northrop Grumman, the defense sector, continues to roar, but I'm looking for a pullback at some of these names. Look at the buying frenzy that started just after the new year rang in 2013. Fast and furious move to the upside with just a few red candles in between. We've seen some of these parabolic moves come back down. You would think a big stock like Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin soaring to the upside, impervious to any kind of downside or selling pressure. At some point that will change. I got some puts last week for Northrop Grumman. I'm going to trade that for downside in the future, just like we saw with Simon Property Group. Roaring to new all-time record highs and reverse course. Some $20 move on the monthly basis here. And if you look just over the last couple trading sessions, a little bit of a bounce here off the 190 level, but again, was up near 214, reverse course to under 192. So that's a $22 move to the downside for Simon Property Group. A couple other tickers here. Let's look at GOOGL, which is confined in this channel. And remember back last year in 2015 was stuck at the 550 level. You can see it's just a consolidation here. Very small move. So something not to trade here out of the money options. Probably to be selling options is the better strategy there for Google, Amazon having a tough time around this 700 level, but looks to be flagging here for a continuation and a move to new all-time record highs. So that 700 level, something that it's just not been able to detach from after breaking above it. But again, from a longer term perspective, looks very bullish here for Amazon for a break. You can see it almost looks like a nice flag here, and we're going to continue up to 725. So maybe later this week, get some call options for Amazon. All right, UPBOptionMillionaires.com. It's about 20 minutes before the opening bell. S&P 500 futures pointing to a higher open, but will that hold? I'm not so sure I'm going to chase this here. And we saw a couple spikes even yesterday pull back. And also, we closed yesterday at session lows. So if you look at this parabolic move, I think the sellers are going to step in and at least bring us back to this chop range. I would not be surprised to see us at 205.50 on the SPY ETF, the spiders, when the closing bell rings. UPBOptionMillionaires.com. We'll see you in the chat room.